darkness just to see the light. If I say it once, I guarantee I say it twice. If they love me, I ain't going out without a fight.
Welcome to the B2M Boys to Men podcast. I'm here with my man Nuevo Black.
Yeah.
J Moo on the end, Brother Joaquin in the middle, and Talik on the end.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hey, welcome to our episode. Last episode, we got into some deep, heavy things regarding our relationship with our fathers. And now we all are fathers, right? How many boys do we have?
12.
Wow.
12.
And one
12
daughter.
13.
12 young men.
Wow. So now, again, we talked about our growing up, right? And we talked about our relationship with our father. And now we get into philosophies of being a father ourselves, right? We talked about steel sharpening steel and how we dealing with issues or whatnot. And so we want to get into, jump right into fatherhood philosophies, raising boys.
You raised how you was raised. That's how you was raised. You know what I mean? Like you like that was the first. I first stopped eating pork. You ate it growing up,
exactly.
and
It ain't hurt you then, boy.
There wasn't no philosophy.
Absolutely. Hey, you're right. Hey, and they would say, hey, raise a child, right? How's it go? What's the biblical?
Joaquin, no.
I don't know.
Teach a child in the way he should go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I don't listen to none of that.
So we all it's so many different ways of going about it. So Joaquin, what's your philosophy regarding fatherhood?
Oh, man. Well, I have two sons now, aged 24 and 28. And as they were growing up, because I coached kids, I coached basketball, Pop Warner football, and I did that for over 20 years. And when you're around young kids that say they want to, you know, when adults would always ask them, what do you want to do when you grow up? You know, young kids, they always inevitably will often say, I want to be a professional basketball player, professional football player. And then I would hear what I call dream-killing adults tell them to get a plan B. And I just thought that was just such a disservice because they were placing their limitations on the young people.
What's wrong with the plan B?
I don't believe in plan Bs because I really felt like it's up to you to pursue what it is you want to pursue. And I think if you put in the work and do all that you're supposed to do, you can achieve what it is you're trying to achieve.
Plan
and
A.
so, yeah, you know, so when my kids were growing up, I always told them, I got your plan B, all right? You come up with plan A, and whatever you say plan A is, that's what we'll do. If you say, Dad, I want to be a comedian, bet. Let's go to New York. Let's get you an agent. Let's go to LA, whatever we need to do. I'm all in. I'm all on board for supporting you. And so my oldest son was like, Dad, I want to be an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? And we put you on track to become an entrepreneur. And he initially started a ticketing business called Passio, and it was a cross between digital tickets like I always say like StubHub and Eventbrite. It was a cross between StubHub and Eventbrite. And the day they actually made it into the Apple App Store was March of 2020, and COVID happened. And so you have an event, app that all of a sudden there are no events. And so he had to pivot, and he pivoted and started a transportation company. And now he has employees, he takes care of his people, he got families working for him, he's providing health care, 401k, all of that stuff. And so
you attribute that to him, you supporting, just focus on plan A, being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely.
That didn't work out, Passio didn't work out, so
if you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. Just because this ain't work, if you're an entrepreneur, you didn't say I want a ticket business.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
That means you need to be able to sell any kind of widget.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what he did. And then my youngest son, at 14, he came to me and was like, Dad, I want to be a professional gamer. And I was like, what the hell? You get out of here with that bull. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, you full of it. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you putting me to the test. And I went and did my research. And when I went and did my research, I was like, whoa, this is going to be big. And people ask me all the time, how did our son become a professional Call of Duty player? I jokingly say, it starts with some irresponsible parenting. You know what I mean? It starts with, but what it really was I had read Malcolm Gladwell where he's talking about the 10,000 hours and all that stuff. And I realized my son had put in his hours. What I'm gonna go tell him, be an accountant now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what? My question to him was, are you that good? Are you elite? And when he said, yeah, I'm like, okay. So after that, me and my wife, we bought him monitors, controllers, every single game for the PC, PS4, Xbox, everything, PS5.
I'm not familiar with the Gladwell piece. What was the 10,000 hours?
Malcolm Gladwell talks about it in his book where he says, in order to be excellent at whatever it is you do, you're not going to reach the level of excellence until you put 10,000 hours of time into whatever it is.
Is that the tipping point?
And it don't matter whether you Kobe Bryant shooting jump shots or whether you're an artist or whatever it is, an attorney, whatever it is, you need to put in the hours. And I realized my son didn't put in the hours. What am I going to tell him? To do something else?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so after that, me and my wife totally supported him. And now he travels all over the country. We just got back from Toronto not too long ago, just got back from Boston. And we totally support his dream. And more importantly, our son is happy. You know what I mean? Both of them. They're very happy. They're not, unhappy young men. You know what I mean? I had jobs that I absolutely detested. I never wanted my sons to feel that feeling. So it was all about, what are you gonna do to make sure you never feel that feeling? You know what I mean? And so it's all up to you. And so as, to take it a step further, a lot of people say at 18, you out the door. You know what I mean? At 21, when you finish college, you out the door. Well, with my kids, I'm like, I had requirements that you had to do before you left the house. You know what I mean? I said, okay, I know, I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor for 22 years. I see the pitfalls that people find themselves in. People, they go to college, they get out of school, they get that $1,800, $2,000 a month job, rent payment. They get that $600 a month car payment. And next thing you know, from the age of 22 to 28, they running up the debt. At 28, they say, you know what? I got to get out of this. Well, then guess what happens? They start trying to get out of it. By the time they 33, 34, they realize I ain't gonna never get out of it. Next thing, they file bankruptcy. That's 7 years later. Now you're 40 years old. So I was like, yo, I'm not gonna do that to my kids, because I said, you know what? When you send your kids out here, you're sending them out here to the capitalist wolves to be eaten alive. They ain't gonna do nothing but put your kids on a little treadmill.
That says they not kids at the point where you had this requirement on them. They grown up now.
Yeah.
Let me finish. So they 18, they grown up. They not kids no more.
That's right.
They are your kids.
Yeah.
But
They're
they're
not
adults
children.
now. So
Yeah.
what would you say to somebody that says, hey, but that's number one, that's not the only way. And number two, is it appropriate to put a requirement on an 18-year-old man? A requirement.
Yeah. Well, here's how I thought. I saw people find themselves in these pitfalls. I don't have $1 million to hand over to you if you're in a financial crisis. I don't have $100,000 to hand over to you. Now, well, not at that time. So really, it's like, hey, you can do it your way if you want to, but when you find yourself in debt and filing for bankruptcy at 30-something years old, I don't hear about it, because I done gave you a blueprint of how to stay. So I told my boys, hey, here's what I need from you. Your profession, your plan A, has to buy your house. Number 2, you gotta have a 750 credit score. And number 3, you gotta be debt free. Now my son moved out at 27 years old, debt free, 800 credit score. He just built a house for himself. I've watched people 50, 60 years old that don't reach that level.
That's a fact.
And now he's 27, moving out and being able to do that. He has a foundation that he can go to who knows whatever heights. You know what I mean? And so that was my requirement for them. And he even took it a step further. He paid cash for his car. He paid cash for his lot that he built the house on and all that stuff. So, you know what I mean? So now you got a foundation to go out here and kill it. You're not in debt. You know what I mean? You got great credit score. You in great shape, bro.
So, hey, I want to back up. That's excellent. I want to back up though. And so what is, when you talk about plan A, plan B, right? And we talk about dreams. At what age or what maturity and what percentage do you feel like we are as parents, the mother and father as well, instilling their dreams, you know what I mean, versus them coming up with it on their own? You know, if they say they want to be Stretch Armstrong at 4 or 5 years old, right? How we handle that? You know what I mean? And so at what age do you take that seriously? And what do we do to what's the Jamaican brother that was a doctor? Stafford, right? I always remember Stafford say, maybe you told me that story, said, when did you know I was gonna be a doctor? My whole life.
Yeah.
Because my father told me I was gonna be a doctor.
Yeah.
You know, so where do we do that versus
that was
having
their
them come
plan
up with
B.
their own dream?
I got your plan B. You're gonna be an investment banker, or you're gonna be, you know what I mean? Now, if you come up with plan A, then we scrap my little plan.
I know.
Wait, hold up. So your plan is plan B.
Yeah, my plan is
Their
plan
plan
B.
is plan A.
Yeah,
Right.
it's their job to
See,
come
I
up
got
with
you.
A.
Okay. And you're sharing that philosophy with us, or at least with me, a while ago, a couple of years ago or so. I do take parts of that because in with especially with my youngest and whatnot, and so I think that's a real dope philosophy. But I'm sorry. What was you about to say?
Yeah, but what is Plan B based on? Is Plan B based on
It don't have to be
what you
based-
think is best for them,
That's
or
what
is
it
Plan B
sounds like.
based on your recognition of some skill set they have or gift that they have? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your decision about what you gonna do next based on?
It was based on personality.
Okay.
He ain't had plan B. Now,
It was based on
I got the
personality.
Plan B.
and I don't have it.
I hope desperately we would never get to plan B.
Because I need to think about it some more.
We're not gonna get to plan
They
B.
don't know because he don't know.
Exactly. Because here's what I have discovered: when you are young people operate from a mindset of vision and dreams. But as you age, you start operating from history. You know
And
what I
fear.
mean? And fear, exactly.
Facts.
Because by the time you 15, when they 5 and you say what you want to do, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a school teacher. They want to be all kind of stuff. By the time they 15, you say what you want to do. The world done beat it out of them. I didn't want to send my kids out here into the world where I call them the capitalist vultures was going to put them in a little hamster wheel.
In that rat race.
And put them in the rat race and make them work for them and make them money.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that.
The beauty of that too, though, your philosophy is you set an example. You was an example of entrepreneurship, though.
Tried to be, yeah.
With the scalping tickets and all of that.
Absolutely.
You gave them a great example to learn from and to be inspired by, so that they could see it could be possible.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Hey, I forgot though. Did Darius finish school?
Yeah, Darius graduated.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm not sure because I'm like, we were talking about that.
He graduated.
Yeah.
But Kari never went to college.
Right.
Yeah, he turned pro as a gamer when he turned 18,
Oh,
when he graduated from high school. So that was the only
Yeah.
requirement I have. You got to graduate from high school. It was so funny. We would go to the parent-teacher conference, you know what I mean? And they'd be like, Mr. Wynn, Kari is he's not really interested in doing his work, and he's not. I say, yeah, we just trying to get him to graduate. He gonna be a professional gamer. They looked at me like I had 3 heads. You know what I mean? They were like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. He's not. He's
We
not
did too,
interested in
Rocky.
all
We
that.
all did. That's all.
Yeah. Whole
Yeah.
family.
You know what I
Friends
mean?
and
Yeah. And so I'm like, nah, man, I believe in your dream. Let's go get it. You know what I mean? And it's on you. But here's what I have discovered. Kids are happy when they are in pursuit of that thing. They don't have to achieve it. As long as they're in pursuit of a thing, that is enough to give them fulfillment in terms of what they want.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's about who they become in the process. Maybe you get there, maybe you don't. But here's what I can tell you. You will become an amazing human being for the hours of work and the discipline and the work ethic that you put in. You will have a set of skills that you can then take to whatever you choose to do. Because you've developed that character.
Yeah, but real talk, you got a plan B. What was your plan B?
Oh, for Kari?
Well, yeah, I didn't know if they were saying for both kids or they
I
different.
told him he was going to be a doctor. Because
doctor?
he has such compassion for people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he
No,
was
that
so
don't line up with
empathetic.
that he just need to get out of high school. You had already destroyed the plan B.
No. I'm saying I only got plan B up until you tell me what A is. So at 14, when he told me what A was, we ain't have to talk about
I got you.
plan B no more.
Yeah.
You said,
Yeah.
but you got A. And you know what I told him? I said, I researched it. And these NFL owners are buying these franchise teams in Call of Duty, all right?
Right.
They're paying a $25 million franchise fee. And I told my son, this is big business. When Jerry Reinsdorf bought the Chicago Bulls, he paid $15 million for the Bulls, and Michael Jordan was on the team.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I mean? And they threw in a soccer team.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I want him to understand where the league is now that you're participating in.
Where it's going.
Exactly, where it's going. And this, we're going to our first event in Raleigh in December. And the prize money this year is $1.7 million.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So the prize money is already growing. The same growth we saw in golf when Tiger showed up. You know what I mean? And so I just believe in him, man. And he put in the work, put in the time. Let's rock.
So Joaquin
Yep.
Joaquin pointed out so in terms of fathering philosophy, he gave one based on career wise and life wise. Talik, you have a philosophy related to something outside of just career or just like other fathering? What's your fathering style? Is it based on career as well?
Mine a little different. My son was ever since we could remember he always been like straight focused. So he never ever said he wanted to be a police officer, firefighter. He never said any of those things. He always wanted to be an attorney. And then he went from being an attorney, and then when we start trying, explain a few things to him when he was asking us, he said, "Well, I want to be the judge, right?" Mm-hmm. And then we were like, "Well, you still got to go through that same type of path to get to the judge, And because he wanted to be the one who in control, who's the boss, right? Who tells who what to do. And I said, well, that's when he wanted to be. So when he said he wanted to be a judge, when he started on this path when he was probably about maybe between 3 and 5 years old, right? From 5 years old all the way up to he was 9, he wanted to be a judge, right? So I told him, I said, I tell you what, we need to go sit in somebody's courtroom and we need to, let you meet a judge and tell me what you think. So we flew him out to Seattle, Washington, right? And my aunt, best friend, was a judge. And he let Tyreek sit in the chair, had the gavel, just got that one-on-one experience, took him back in the office, talked to him, let him see some cases, literally spent some time with him. He came back, and he was like, all right, yeah. So I was like, man, you want to go down to the courtroom? Here's, the courthouse and look at some cases? And he was like, yeah. So we went once or twice. He was like, nah, Dad, I don't want to do that.
What age do you recall?
Like 9.
9, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was like, I don't want to do that. And so like kind of in that same kind of period, my wife, had wrote several books, right? And she was starting her own, her and her sister was starting our own thing, right? Entertainment, as far as like having our own show. And, he rolling around with us and seeing the ins and outs of what we do. And all of a sudden he like, I want to write a book. And so at the age of 13, he actually wrote the book.
Okay.
Right? But we spent the whole 6 months or whatever trying to figure out we was going to add illustrations to his book, right? And so what happened was we was like, nah. I said, forget it, man. We just going to put some money on the front of the book and we going to run with that because we ain't got time to find illustrators and all this stuff because one of his teachers was an illustrator, but at that time she had just moved out the country or whatever. So we was like, we running with this. And so then after that, after he wrote the book, the next thing was he was like, Dad, I want to do what Mom doing. I'm like, man, this thing is costing me a boatload of money, right? Or us, not me, but us, my wife and I, a boatload of money. I'm like, look, when they make it, you know we got you, right? And he was like, nah, Dad, man, they can't do it like me. I'm like, man, okay, man, but you about to have some problems in this house, man. I mean, we were spending some money, right? Of course, and then on top of that, gotta pay regular bills, right? So the next thing, we fast forward, and like, my wife and her sister not doing what they supposed to be doing. So I'm starting to feel a certain kind of way, right? And I'm like, look, son, I'm gonna have this one meeting with them. I'm gonna have 2 meetings with them. After that, they don't move. Bruh, it's on. He was like, all right, Dad, he's still, man, Dad, come on, right? So in the meantime, this takes place, right? And my son, well, I had a meeting with them, right? And I tell them, I said, look, you know what? If y'all ain't about it, I'm Team Tyreek all day long, all day, right? And they was like, they kind of fell back and whatever. And I walked in the house one day. Tyreek was 16 years old. I walked in the house and he had rearranged the whole house, right? And I was like, boy, I come in the door from working. I said, boy, your mom gonna kill you, right?
That was an automatic beatdown.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
boy?
you can't even change
So-
the channel.
So
Can't change the
I
channel.
look-
You can move furniture.
he recording in the house, right? He got the camera and he had his cell phone, and I see like this much of his face, right? And I'm laughing, right? I'm laughing. And I look down, there's 1,000 people watching my son. I'm blown away. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, so I adjust the camera, right? And that's how When Production got birthed, right? So I was my son cameraman, and now When Production is filming this production right here, right? Along with
That's what's up.
many other things. So the thing was, I adjusted his camera and I told him, I said, look, son, if you stick with this, right? When you turn 18, we're gonna turn it into a real business. I say, but one thing about it is I don't have time to misappropriate none of these funds in this household if you ain't serious. And that goes back to when he played sports and all the other stuff. So when he said he was serious, he going to school to be for journalism. And I mean, we supported all his walks. And like I told him, I say we Team Tyreek. We start buying uniforms, buying equipment, whatever he needed, we did. And I mean, he take this thing on the road, and I mean, he interviewing I can't even begin to name all the people he interviewed, you know.
Y'all do back almost to my previous, but y'all do got a similar philosophy. When somebody asks you, what's your parenting philosophy, you default to career.
Right.
We know it's so broad. I'm not saying nothing wrong with it.
Sure.
I'm just pointing out y'all have a similarity. But it's about supporting dreams. Behind
Right.
that was support your dreams, pursue your dreams. You know, and I think my take. Go ahead, Walker.
No, I was gonna say, the other component is just like building good people, high character people. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? Teaching them to be just good quality young men. And I believe that's why we did this, because the sons that we have raised, the kids we've raised, they're good people. And I think ultimately that's all any parent want, is they want to be able to say, hey,
All your
I raised.
sisters out there, they got good daughters. We got good sons.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's really what it's all about: raising good people of high character, principled, ethical young men. You know what I mean? I told my son, man, treat your girlfriends wonderful. You know what I mean? Like, and I told every one of the girlfriends, if they don't, you let me know.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know what I mean? You let me know if he not being a gentleman to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so,
That's something you were able to model, when you were age. That's why you didn't know so much about sharing that with us.
yeah, absolutely. We ain't gonna talk about me. I got better when I knew better. I did better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it, that's it in a nutshell, man. And just extremely proud. I only had one child. I'm just extremely proud of him. And I mean, he living his dream. I mean, he doing what he want to do.
Yep.
He making his own decisions. He he fly out of town. He go out of town to do stuff. I mean, he doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he don't cause any problems, and we extremely proud of him.
I think for me, man, I'm a father of 3 boys as well. I think for me, and it's interesting hearing the approach. That's why I was understanding that nuance, because my approach is, I think we all are on the same page probably about the dream thing, because we always talk a lot about how we grew up in a generation where we were told to go get a good job, not told to go pursue business, be happy, and do whatever. So in our generation, we were bold enough to be like, man, we going to the top. Our generation got, we got hip hop entrepreneurs. We saw people our age blowing up, whether it was in the crack game or in. So the world, the possibilities were bigger when we were coming out at their age, like for the first time, really.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I ain't seen nobody coming out in the 70s as bold and brazen as the late 80s, early 90s, and all that stuff, right? But for me, it started with the thing in the last podcast was my philosophy was I was not gonna be the type of father my father was. It started with that.
Yeah.
That number one philosophy was be committed to the job.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Be committed to the job. This your job. Now, can't quit it.
Right.
Can't get rid of it. Right? Then the other thing was making you love yourself, making sure that my children knew that we loved them and that they loved themselves
Yes.
enough to not be influenced.
Bingo.
You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
Yeah,
That's
you
real.
love yourself enough not to be influenced.
That's a pearl.
And number 3, I think, man, when I see, one of the things I really hate is hearing people even our age, man, you like, yo, man, you seen your brother? How your brother doing? Man, ain't even talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he been tripping, man. He take advantage of mama. I don't even get no concept of that with my brothers. Because outside of y'all, that is my crew.
Yeah.
That's my whole crew.
Yeah.
Right.
My brothers and B2M.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it was with my children was, you're not gonna mistreat anybody in this house.
Yeah.
I don't care. It ain't no more of that. I took a whole lot of blows because I was a youngin'. We ended all that.
Yeah.
That's
real.
If you gotta check your little brother, that's different than you using your power
And abuser.
influence to be abusive and manipulate.
Yeah.
Right? So my thing was, if I see you mistreating anybody, whoever it was, hey man, don't do my son. I don't let nobody do that to my son.
Including you.
This is my son.
Yeah, right.
This is not your project.
Yeah.
Right.
This is my project. Yeah, including your brothers. And so initiating within the house a self-respect.
Yeah.
A respect for one another. And then, that translates to other people. So it was like, you got the respect, you understand, you got the self-love, you got the respect of the people around you, which is your initial community you're going into.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'm going to tell you to think big and dream big, and I got you.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm not going to stop at career, I never cared about, I knew it was going to be about dreams, but as an educator, I knew that I also had to look at what gifts I was seeing in the classroom. So I didn't know what that drip was, but if I want to be a support, okay, like with Amir, he's like Tyreek. Tyreek gonna move. Shout out to Win Productions. Tyreek gonna move TV. Early on, I knew. You know what I'm saying? I saw the animation in him. The teachers were telling me he was verbally gifted. I knew he was an excited person, and it took a lot to stimulate him. So when he got to high school and he was thinking about his electives, I was able to say, because I watched that, hey, what do you think about media production or something?
Yeah.
Or band.
Oh, just picking up somebody's keyboard and now we start playing with it. Put that keyboard down.
Making all that
That's
noise.
a bad parent.
Yeah, right.
Like, hey, get him a keyboard.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I was watching from that
Embracing it.
career-wise.
Yeah.
And you know how he came to me with the music, and I was like, well, listen, if you want to be a music, you want to be a rapper, you got to be a writer first.
Yeah.
So we bought him journals, and I was like, he was like, I said, so you got to write songs, I want to record songs. Once you show me you can write, then I'll get you a recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his mom bought him a journal, started writing songs. Then he came to me and said, I want to record now, like it's time.
Yeah.
For them the old joints we had in class, right? Where you got the 3 buttons.
Yeah. Push.
Nah. What year was this?
Not too long ago.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know what to do. I'm not a media person. I said,
Right.
Look, he's 8 or 9. I'm not spending no more than $35. Look, tell you what happened though.
Yeah.
His musical ear had grown, so he came to me and said, I don't like how it sounds.
Whoa.
That makes
Okay?
sense.
Now you at the age, let me read your writing. Go find a studio then. You find a studio, we'll go through. So every stage I just listen and put it upon him to take the next step.
Yeah.
Give him some homework.
Yeah, but everything is always been about, pursue your dream. We don't, and just to let you know, we don't ever, for all of you, none of your dreams should include working for somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You never want to work, but if you do to get where you want to get at, that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But your ultimate plan should be something doing for yourself. Because regardless, dreaming or not, your dream shouldn't be a job to go back into this factory and
Yeah.
become a robot for these folks. So that was my philosophy: was the respect, self-love, teaching respect of others, and paying attention to their gifts and stuff to see how I could support
Yeah.
their dreams as adulthood.
You know, this is what I told my wife when my child, he wasn't even born. And I was like, if I could get when my son born or my child born, if I can get them to do just a couple basic things, get them to learn how to read, right?
Love reading.
And love it, and teach them sales skills, right? And a lot of times people don't think about sales, but sales is every single thing you can think about, you know. Once you get off into it, right? And I'm not gonna go deep into it, but just like this table right here, right? They had to purchase this table, right? Cell phone bottle, etc., right? Even in your relationships, you know what I'm saying? A level of sales is asking your wife, you know, what restaurant we want to go to, right? Or your lady, what restaurant, and you trying to convince them this is what I want versus this, right? Vacation, etc., right? So everything you deal with is sales, and I knew if he could be good at that, he could navigate and make it, you know, along with education. I don't want my child to be, you know, don't know how to read when it's time for contracts and stuff like this.
Right.
They don't know, right? They don't know what they read, they can't articulate it, etc. And you always gonna have a contract, especially when you're taking care of business, right? So I knew if he could do those, the rest is history, you know, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. It's so many different things, right? Everybody has their own philosophy, and like you say, so many different components in life. Me personally, first and foremost, right, we want our kids to be happy.
Yes.
Right. And that's very vague, but we want them to be happy. But my thing is I want them to be independent thinkers. And when we do these shows, right, we not preparing. We speaking from the heart. And so I try to speak with the first thing that pop in my mind so it can be genuine, you know? And like I said, my first thing was I was thinking about to be self-sufficient, right? Independent man.
Yes.
To be able to take care of yourself. Can't take care of your family without being able to take care of yourself. And now fast forward to our age, right? We got to take care of our mental health, our physical health, etc., right? And so when you're a child, you know, taking care of your reading and writing, your basic, right? And obviously providing that nurturing home environment so we can reach that goal. The other thing is the value system, right? Our morals, our principles, you know. You touch base on it as far as how you treat people, right? Treat people with respect, and however we still demand respect. One of the things I would tell my kids is, and my godfather used to tell me, I'll kill a rock for you, boy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't let nobody mess with you.
Yeah.
Including, and we would have to have these conversations as far as teachers, police officers, right? Your brother, your uncle, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna let nobody violate you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I took that job seriously, and I still do. And you know, I don't have any babies anymore, but that's real. So again, independent thinkers, so they can go in any room in any situation. I call it from suits to boots, right? we comfortable in an environment where everybody's suit and tied, clean shaven, as we are in an environment where people wearing Timberlands and jeans, right?
Yeah.
We're comfortable, right? Because we love people, and we real people, you know, and we get along and respect folks because we know it's lessons to be learned from everywhere, and again, that's the bottom line, and to be a world citizen, you know what I mean? Be a person of the people, you know what I mean? And give back to the community where you came from, and provide a pillar in whatever community you are. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, hey, I used to laugh. My ex used to be like, hey, you talk to these people. They don't want to be bothered with you. They don't want to talk to you, you know? And I said, well, you know, I know that everybody I meet in my neighborhood is not my best friend. You know what I mean? I understand that. However, if we're going to live next to each other, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to meet you. We're going to build a relationship or we're not. But unconsciously, I was thinking, hey, if I meet good people, I'm all about meeting good people and adding them to my circle. But if you're a bad person, you're going to know not to mess with that Yates household. You know what I mean? Because they don't play over there.
Right.
If I'm up to some devious stuff, I'm going to stay away from there because they are, you know what I mean? Right. They got love and they're protecting, you know? And so, again, that's the goal, you know? And when we talk about the philosophy, it's such a broad range. We talk about dreams, man, and that's so huge, right? Because we never stop dreaming. You know what I mean? At that age, we never stop dreaming. So what do you guys think is the biggest influence of our dreams? You know what I mean? What even at this age, because things change as we get older. You know what I mean?
Well, we should be, but my philosophy is very similar to everyone else's. And it, of course, evolves, as I believe Brother Corey was mentioning. And mine kind of evolved with the experience being a young father and kind of touching on what Chubbs mentioned regarding the as far as being better than my father was. I mentioned that, I believe, in one of the other episodes. First, that was it, but then I kind of neglected my oldest son in the sense of being a young father, not really knowing how to do that. But the more I tried to study and listen to the minister and follow his example, I tried to get better at that, as well as what you've done to help JG in that regard, to kind of catch me. And again, this brotherhood, kind of checking me as to those points where I may have been deficient, to help me be more proficient and better as a young father. You know what I mean? You all were there to help. And then now I have a bonus son who's the same age, basically. Wish I would have been more in his life, and he looks at me also now the same way, as to if me and his mom had met earlier, how much different things may have been for him. And so, interestingly enough, he actually wants me to adopt him as an adult man.
Oh wow!
Wow. How old is he, James?
Kind of dope. But then with my youngest, as I think we had talked about this before, I was probably the best parent for him because of our 30-year difference. I was 30 when I had Kimu, when we had him, and to compare him to a 20-year-old, or 17, but of course, the long story as far as my oldest son, comparing that, and then being a young father to going into my first marriage with an instant family and whatnot, thinking I could handle that, being a young parent, I was totally shocked with that. You know what I'm saying? The reality hit
sure.
when those responsibilities came about. Unfortunately, that marriage failed. However, I did learn things along the way to help me be a better father, as well as looking back on it and being able to try to tell my sons now to kind of plan it out with regards to his life and when he becomes I guess going back to my philosophy is that more of a character, and trying to instill those type of the value system and morals, and I want him to be the best human he can be. And as we're taught, ye are all God's children of the Most High God. I want him to see and understand the God within him, that he then studies enough to qualify himself as a God. You know what I mean? child of the Most High God.
Yeah.
And so those are the things, and then of course career things that help him to support, to support him and the family and all this and that came, later on, as well, again, from borrowing from my brothers here. The signs that I try to see in him, my youngest, was that of architecture, because he just liked to build a lot. Coming up with Legos and this, that, and the third. And I'm thinking that might have been his, but that was more my plan B. And it's not until recent that we realized that his plan A, he's still trying to, come into, trying to understand.
Right.
And however, he has been, he's very studious, very studious, and loves to read and whatnot. And I think that was mentioned earlier, which was one of the things that I did want to instill in him also, is the desire to want to read and love to read. Because I know when we came up, I did not like reading.
Passion for knowledge.
And it wasn't
Still
until-
don't.
Yeah. I do, but
When it's something that captures your interest, you
Right.
guys are readers. Yeah.
right.
And that's what I discovered as an adult.
And so I tried to instill in him the love, just the love of reading, period. Whether whatever it was, fantasy, nonfiction, fiction, whatever it was, just trying to instill in him those values of that. And so, going back to what you said, of him being better than what I was. Of course, we always that's very cliche, and whatnot. But looking at him and seeing the things that I was doing all before the age of 21, and him now being 21, I feel good about what I've done. Especially-
Your journey.
But look, this is all great. Like you said, look, show over. What's wrong with our community though, man?
Okay.
Because we blessed to have sons that we feel are on the right course, and we provided this background to. But we got cousins, we got friends, children. What's the problem with parenting in our community? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I keep mentioning a little bit of it. Are we choosing their dreams? We not talking about character. What's the problem?
I think they trying to be not the mass majority, but too many parents want to be that child's friend. My son will tell you in a heartbeat, we ain't friends. You know what I mean? Now, if you see us interact, you be like, oh man, they best friends, right? You know what I mean? But that's because I spent time with him, right? I spent a lot of hours with him, right? I mean, to go back to when he was a baby, a kid, I potty trained him. You know what I mean? Like I've been there every step of the way. Through everything. So, I remember when my wife and I have to, at that time when he was younger, we had to take shifts, right? So I had the 3 to 11 shift, so to speak, right? And when my wife get home, she like, this boy will not stop crying, right? And I'm like, well, did you do this? Did you do this? Yeah, what did you do to him, right? And she'll drive down where I'm working at. I'm at the hotel. She drive down, and he want to see me, right? And she's like, oh, you spoiled this boy. But I'm like, I'm with him all day long, right? I'm with him all day. I'm talking to him. I'm playing with him, etc., right? And so to fast forward, man, like my brother said earlier, right? Kids spell time different, right? Or love different, right? You got to put in the time, right? And we ain't putting in the work, but we want the results. But if you ain't putting in no work, you robbing the system, right? You don't have anything to pull from it, right? So you act like automatically you supposed to bond with your kid, but and sometimes we interchangeably get it confused, right? And a young man, when I was going to get my business cards made one day, I was getting like 3 different types of business cards. And he said, young man, he said, you can't be doing all these business. I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. He said, I made that same mistake. He said, son, please listen to me. Mm-hmm. He was like, you gotta spend time at home. I said, well, I'm doing this for my family. He said, nah, they don't want that. He said, what they want is you there in the house. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to pay the bills? Right? And so I shared that with my brothers, right? And talked to other people, and I grew from that, understanding what that meant. And sometimes we all in the household, in various families, you all in the house, but nobody's engaging. They like this, right? Then somebody else on the phone talking, somebody on the computer, etc., watching TV. But you think just because you in the house, we spending time with one another.
Right.
We not. So then I started, hey, what y'all want? Let's play a family game together. Let's play some cards. Let's talk, etc.
Right.
Let's cut that off. Let's do this. And then I started building that bond. And then it really put, I mean, not that we was way off course, but it confirmed some things that I would have been way far from. And that's what I did it. I started I was conscious of it, and I started executing immediately.
I think I'm echoing on what you were saying, and we talking about parenting philosophy, and you talking about in the broader sense of the community as well, and the foresight, right?
Okay.
As far as we talked about our mothers working so many hours without, a single parent family, what have it may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I hear you saying is you and your wife, because I know everybody else don't know, but I know that there's no particular trade or so degree, and we had average jobs making that happen.
Correct.
You feel me? We were we didn't come up with money. We didn't have money. So now, and you're just trying to provide, right? And
Right.
so now finding that balance, and just like I know your story as far as being a bellhop and having a child and having the audacity to say you're gonna stay home and work. Come on, you know what I'm saying? As a bellhop,
Right.
you know what I mean? And so that's excellent that you and your wife are able to work that, and you saw the importance of that. You know what I mean? So everybody else don't have that discipline. You know what I mean? You know how much discipline it takes to be a bellhop, to be a valet driver,
Right.
to have these entry level jobs that we've all had and still raise a child.
Oh, yeah.
And not both of y'all be working 60 hours a week, and to provide the stability and still show them you working because we love them, right? But we can't be at two places at one time.
Right.
And so there is a level of, like you say, sacrifice and doing that and spending that time. That's heavy. That's real.
And
I'm
the
gonna push
re-
back on
You don't
Talib
think
real
that's-
quick, run thing before I forget.
About
Yeah.
the
On the
friend.
friend thing. You
Yeah.
said that too.
I
Well-
was about to go.
Well, hold on. Let me say this.
Oh, that's good.
I think I feel what he's saying. I know what he's saying. But however, I do believe that evolves. You know what I mean? And obviously, you say that I'm not your friend. But obviously, what you just said, you nurtured the heck out of him. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And loved him. And so you weren't just. So, but now let me just say this. He's Tyreek, 22 years old.
Correct.
Now y'all relationship evolved.
Right.
Y'all friends now?
No.
Wow. Okay.
No.
No.
Because
it's
I would
be-
think that it would evolve. Y'all have an adult relationship.
Yeah, but see the thing is, man, it's such a fine line, right? Let him put the title on. That's Dad, my friend. I'm not gonna say that. That's my son, right? He always gonna be my son. I'm always gonna love him like a friend. I'm always gonna do these things, and it's not gonna discount it, right? Right? But at the same time, I don't want him to get so comfortable, right, that he crossed lines, right? Right? Now, through respect that I done showed him, I don't never think he will go there, right? But just in case, right? He already know. No, me and Dad.
I think we all
Now, each his
saying
own.
the same thing. No, I don't think it's an each his own situation.
Right.
I don't think, because I think we agree with you on that. I think just the way you saying it is just a little different. Like in terms of you saying the same thing. In
Right.
terms of he's not my friend. He need to know there's a distinct difference between our interaction.
Right.
Right? You're not
Yeah.
a friend. You're not the type of friend that knows all my business and the dirt that I did when I was a child. He not one
Right.
of
I
us.
think that's
he
the
don't
division.
know what we know.
Right.
Thank you.
right,
Right?
Yeah.
That's right.
And neither should he talk to you like he's 16 and you 49 or
Right.
nothing like that. But a friendship, what is a friendship? A friendship is companionship.
Right.
It's support.
Right.
It's love. The Bible says a greater love have no man that he'll lay down his life
Right.
for his friend. We ain't got no greater love on this planet. And so they're not my friends in the sense of, I'm gonna say, of the traditional friend concept, but I really do consider my sons as black men that I vibe with, that I'm cool with, that I got a respect and love for, that I'm gonna be there for, and I'm your father. So outside of my father relationship with them, I like them.
Oh, I love my son.
I mean, you know what I mean? I know, no, I'm
There's
just
a difference between love and like.
yeah.
Big
yeah.
difference.
Hey, I love
Yeah.
him. I like
you know
him,
what I mean?
right?
Y'all
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? It's like,
Absolutely.
you are, that's one of my crew.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's my dude. But so I know what you mean by the respect piece, because this is what I say. Because at a certain point, we talk about the force needed to teach a young man a lesson. At a certain point, that respect and fear and respect thing becomes this. You know, I can throw a couple still, right? I can still got a couple left hooks I can get off. But if the fight lasts more than 15 seconds, my son might end up whooping my tail. They can catch me probably. Because my back gonna go out. It's gonna be, so
full
that's
of
a
muscle.
respect thing. Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
I know this
Yeah.
position. I only get to a certain level of emotion around when I'm upset with
That's
that.
true. 'Cause
You know what I'm
can't-
saying?
Some stuff you can't come back from.
Yeah.
Correct, right.
But at the same time, man, all the other boxes of friendship, them joints is checked. Out
Yeah.
of what I want from y'all, I get out of the adult relationship with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the important thing is that our success rises to the level of our exposure.
Yeah.
And so what we are exposed to is going to determine how we see the world. And so
Right.
that's one of the reasons we try to, expose our kids to all this stuff. J. Mood talked about it earlier when he I can't really think of exactly how you said it, but when you talked about we want our kids to do better than us.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I took that, I'm with you 1,000%, and I even took it a step further. I told my sons, you're gonna have to figure out when not to listen to me. You're gonna have to figure that out, because my life is what it is. And if you want to do anything bigger than what I've done with my life, it's gonna be some decisions you're gonna have to make that I'm not gonna be able to help you with, because I can only give you information based on my understanding.
And how about, and it might be a decision I might not agree with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
I might be wrong.
You're gonna have to figure out when not to listen to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and so there's a humility that I'm bringing to this relationship
Yeah.
that I want you
Yeah.
to understand that I trust you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trust your judgment.
Bossy
You know what I
Wah?
mean? I ain't got to, bossy wah.
Nah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna ask you 50-11 questions like grandma call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what? I trust your judgment. So you know what? I don't need to ask you a whole bunch. I trust you. Go ahead, run with it.
Right.
Because you're gonna have to understand, Dad don't.
But that trust
I'm
was
limited.
developed though, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, you
I
just
saw
don't
he
get-
demonstrated
Okay.
that he was capable of handling.
And I was about to say, because it's going to take a few times now. It's not going to be just one shot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And you know what I mean? And they're going to have to, you're going to have to kind of watch them and see them, kind of fail to an extent.
I have a fresh example that just happened. You know, my son just would not listen to me. I told him don't buy a house with his girlfriend. I said don't do that. You know what I mean? Y'all not married, don't do that. They bought a house together, and 5 months later they broke up. And now it's costing him tens of thousands of dollars to untangle that financial situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I told him, and I said, don't do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But that was a time when he chose not to listen. And one of the conversations we had is when he was gonna do it anyway. One of the last things I sat down with him and said, let me show you something. If that relationship don't work out, it's gonna cost you about $50,000. Are you cool with that? And he looked at me and said, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I told my sons all growing up, whatever you do, be willing to pay the price.
Yeah.
Be willing to pay the
That's
price.
heavy.
And when I said this is gonna cost you about $50,000 if this relationship don't work, he was like, okay, I'm willing to pay that. And so
How
now
long was that before?
I told him the whole time,
Oh, okay.
don't do that. And they bought the house together,
Wow.
and 5 months later, they broke up.
Now,
You know what I mean?
and I'm assuming, ideally, we want our children to be married before they have kids, and
Absolutely.
That's not always. We can't take that for granted. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That we want them to be married and have a spouse that had
Well,
kids.
my son said, that's why ain't no little kids running around. We done scared them to death about having babies. And he was like, all of us 24, 28, 29. He was like, ain't no little kids
Yeah.
around, Dad.
Yeah.
Y'all done messed us up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was
Yeah.
like, ain't no 5-year-olds around, ain't no 4-year-olds around, because we've been so
We got a
big
big
on.
gap in the family.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? He like, Dad, y'all done messed us up. You know what I mean? Ain't no little kids.
Or I mean, that's funny.
Yeah.
But the flip side is, our parents, as we said, were teen parents.
Yeah.
Right.
And
We
even
went
though
hard.
we were younger, they were afforded the type of life that they could wait longer.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've afforded them the type of life where it's not. You understand what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? They thinking more about career
Absolutely.
and all that type of stuff too. That's the flip side, but
And just being accountable and responsible. Simple as that. I mean, out of us, it's Talik and Cord, got married, they had children, right?
right.
Right.
None of us other did it that way. You know what I mean?
I was 6 months off.
Yeah.
I was 6 months
Did
off.
accelerated
Hey,
version.
Mr. J made you be an honest man.
Yeah.
He got the shotgun treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like I
Boy,
was.
you gonna marry my daughter?
Yeah.
It was
that's
5
right.
years. We was married 5 years. Matter of
Worked
fact,
out.
when I got married with my wife, my brother asked me, say, "Your wife pregnant?" And I was like, "No, why?"
What you been married for?
Yeah,
What you doing? What you doing?
right. And I'm
What
like,
you
man, I'm ready. You ready for what? And
Hey,
so-
man, he was in Atlanta, the land of milk and honey. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And you know, well, I've been in a committed relationships ever since he was 3 years old. You know, I'm like, man, like, it's
Hey, but
right.
you're not telling the other part now.
You gotta tell it. That's what y'all here for.
Hey, well, when we were in Atlanta, right? Talik was in school, I was in school and left school. And me and James went down to the A.
Right.
Again, in the heyday.
That's
the
right.
early 90s. And Joaquin was still in school. And I'm like, what, school over? You coming down or something? Yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Oh, man, okay, good. Got closer to the summertime. You coming down? Hey, yo, we got them lined up.
Yeah.
Man.
That's what he said.
Come on, let's go. Yeah.
Hey.
Why, when you coming down? Man, I ain't coming down. What? What are you talking about ain't coming down? I met somebody. Oh, man. We got for you to meet that. What are you talking about? You done met somebody. I met somebody.
Man,
And-
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right?
And then, you know, what he used to tell me when I was in love in high school, she's special.
Yeah.
So fast forward, that's his wife today of
Absolutely.
25 plus
28.
years.
Shout out,
28.
yeah,
28.
that man
Yeah,
knew,
yeah,
man.
hand
That
clap.
man knew.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, you know when it's
Over the-
time to
yeah.
secure
over
the
the
bag,
silver
man.
mark.
Yeah.
You know when it's
So-
time to secure the bag.
I was mad too. I'm like, dang, I wasn't trying to meet no wife now. I was ready to go down there.
Yeah.
But
Why did you show up now?
Participate in all kinds of debauchery.
But the thing for me, I never had all these relationships, right? Well, you know, I had a lot of friends, right? But I didn't have these committed relationships, right? But I recognized my buddies, right, having these good women, and they were just ruining them. Like, and I'm like, man, yo, this is the one, and they were just ruining them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, I'm gonna know when the right one comes.
Right.
It
I
ain't
ain't
no
gonna
way.
ruin it.
It ain't no way in the world I'm gonna ruin it.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
not gonna ruin it. And so I always had this in the back of my head about everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, one, as far as getting married, but as far as like friendship, relationship, like I already got all this stuff, and I'm taking pieces from everybody that I know. I'm taking all the good from everybody I know,
Right.
and I'm developing what
Yeah.
lifestyle I want to
And
be
making
able
sure
to
you don't
develop.
repeat the bad. Like
Correct.
Your boys
And that's how that's how I did everything,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
that's what's winning for me.
And now again, we talking about the philosophy of parenting, right?
Right.
And how we parenting our kids, and talking about economic, familial, right? Society, and dreams all across the board. So as far as looking for a spouse, beyond the obvious being an example, what values are you instilling in the kids? You know what I mean? How do you tell
Man,
them?
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro.
Yeah, and when he said this, he knew. I mean, like, at what age do you like? Oh, go ahead.
Nah, I told my sons, man, I feel sorry for y'all.
Yeah.
Gotta pick a wife from this
The young
bunch.
sisters are beautiful. Our women there's never been a period of time where our women haven't been beautiful.
Right.
Right.
So we can't act like they badder now than they was. I don't care if you take it back to the plantation.
Yeah.
They been bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? God
True.
built them like that.
Amen.
You know, but
Yes, sir.
these days in this social media generation, bro, where, you know, hold up, I gotta take a selfie and let me show you my backside because that's the best part of me, and advertising all that on IG and everywhere. Let me tell you what I told my sons, y'all better find y'all a woman to do yoga.
Why yoga?
Just because of the stereotype sort of is
The spiritual.
they vegetarian and vegan, they eating right, I'm thinking about the food side, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
The woman lead the household, they get on. You know, yoga beyond the stretching has those chakras, which is really a spiritual thing. So they had some type of spiritual course. I told them that or either the Pentecostal church. Hey, listen. When you used to, you know, the stigma used to be, man, don't get you no, what one stigma was, church girls is quiet as kept, you know, a little wild, right?
Yeah.
You know, but the other thing is, you know, but today some people like, man, nah, I don't want her. They ain't about the world. They ain't gonna go out to the club with me. Nah, I don't want that. I was like, yo, that's way better than what's going out in this world right now, bro.
Yeah.
There's somebody want to be out more than you. Everybody chasing the bag. Everybody want to get a bag, and that's what it's all about. You know, it's tough out there for them now, man. I don't know what to tell them.
It's so hard because what we talking about too is the influences on our kids, right?
Right.
And much as we think we got the society influences, and I was just reading something about TikTok in China, right, versus TikTok here.
Okay.
And,
And the algorithm, how different it is.
Yeah, the algorithm rewards them to want to become engineers and architects and to do things for the betterment of society. Where our reward system over here is a completely different algorithm, where it's burps and farts and booties and foolishness.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it's literally embedded in our kids' head. You know what I mean? And so when we talk about, again, going back to dreams and influencing them, how much influence do we have, you know, again, influencing their dreams and their wonderment versus the world versus the more immediate community around them? You know what I mean?
I think what Chubb said earlier when he was talking about give them that confidence so that they not influenced by the outside world like that. So they had that confidence and they not being bullied and they don't feel like they gotta do whatever to be accepted into a group or whatever. You know what I mean? I knew with my youngest son, Kari, man, he when he was in high school, man, he had the worst looking hair you ever want to see. I mean, he ain't do none of that stuff for months.
Months?
Years.
Years?
Yeah, years. And what was so fascinating about it was,
But hold on, White, when you say did nothing, he mean did nothing. You know
I
what
mean did nothing.
No fade,
No
no
nothing.
locks,
Nothing.
no twists, no
Nothing.
no braids, no
Nothing.
cornrow, no
No
nothing.
comb.
no
Yeah,
nothing.
Did not realize he had some up above his eyelashes. No.
He didn't do anything. But what was so fascinating about it was I loved it because like we'd go to football practice or basketball practice and the kids be like, man, tell Kari to comb his head. You know what I mean? They was like, and Kari's like, man.
He didn't care.
He did not care one bit.
Yeah.
And I knew in that moment, he got the values that I need him to have. You know what I mean? He got that confidence. He has a self-assuredness about himself and a confidence about himself.
About what others thought.
He not worried about what nobody's saying about him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that just always made me super proud because he wasn't on none of that. He was like, I'm doing me.
The influence too is back to what we was talking about earlier in another segment when we was talking about. You were talking about number one when your pops died. You felt you had some responsibility.
Yeah.
Talik said when he had a case and beat the case, I felt some responsibility.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Me or you, I can't have them people keep calling my mama. She working 80 hours a week.
Yep.
I just need her to rest, man. So I'm wild and going to the edge, but I'm gonna reel it in when I see her in pain.
Yeah.
Or
Absolutely.
when I violate the family.
Right.
Right? Because I'm
Absolutely.
accountable to my brothers.
Absolutely.
You know, they like, yo, like, you see what I'm saying? So with our kids, to me, that confidence, the dream and all of that is, and to stay focused on not being consumed by that is, yo, man, I'm accountable to somebody, man.
That's right.
It's some people that's not gonna allow that intellectually for me.
Man, you know, that's one of the messages that I always share with the young mothers of the kids that's on my team. I'm like, if you can get your son to a place where he does not want to disappoint you, you winning.
Yeah.
You know, James always talk about his mom, James, I'm just so disappointed in you. He like, Mom, just beat me. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know.
Lashes.
Yeah, but like if you can get your kids to the point where they just don't want to break mom's heart
Yeah.
and don't want to disappoint mom, that will be the governor on their life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that will
But you have to be careful with that too, because today's this generation also mad fragile, and if they feel that they do disappoint you,
that's
what I
true
mean?
too.
There could be a
They take it too far. Yeah.
Good
What you mean? What you
suicidal.
mean?
mental health.
What you mean?
Mental health.
But you know what? But see, to me, I don't know. I'm gonna be real careful because I don't know the pathology of when somebody get to the point and get suicidal or something in the steps. But
Yeah.
to me, or the characteristic, but to me, that part of that, I don't know the history of the people that do that, but some of it is I wonder how much of all of the stuff they did have. Did they have the confidence? Did they feel the love? Did they feel understood? Did they feel heard and that I can come to somebody, not at 18 when they decide to do it,
Yeah.
but at 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, did they even have the equipment?
Right.
You know,
Did we
but to that point, yeah, you definitely got to pay attention to their mental health.
Yeah. Did we teach them how to advocate for themselves?
Yeah.
Which was absolutely crucial. You know what I mean? I thought that was crucial with my young man. You know what I mean? I taught him early on, yo, don't just accept somebody's quote unquote authority.
Yeah.
It's okay to challenge it. And it's a way to do it.
Respect.
You know what I mean?
Respect,
I'm
yeah.
gonna teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people always telling you what to do. You're like, who are you?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a way to do it. And so I always thought that was super important because it gave them that self-assurance. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That I'm not being pushed around. You see people down at City Hall cussing and fussing or whatever.
What's the way to do it?
Because, well, you have to learn how to operate within the system that is
Okay.
presented before you. There's a criteria that you must use. You know what I mean? But when people are frustrated, they lash out.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And the best thing we can teach
You're
them,
not engaged in the process.
yeah, is how to engage the system
Yeah.
to bring about change that
Yeah.
they're looking for.
Right, right.
Hey, I think a lot of it goes back to what Talik was talking about earlier. Who has your ear has your destiny, right?
Yep.
Sure.
And even from 15 to 50, as a man right now, I got to be conscious of who I listen to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I hear everything,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
can't listen to everything.
That's
You
right.
know, and we have to hope that our children make those same daily decisions, right? Who they surround themselves with, still sharp and still. You know, we got to raise them to be warriors, right? Peaceful warriors, right? But a
right.
warrior nonetheless. You
Right,
know what I
right.
mean?
There you go.
And that's what it's all about. That's what it's
And
all
really, to me, the disappointment thing on that mental health side, to me, there's also a difference in you've disappointed me, young
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Yeah, young
Right.
Benjamin.
You've shamed the family. And,
Yeah.
yo, man, I thought you was past that. I thought you was at another level. I thought you was functioning on another level. I really did.
As long as it's a careful approach.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know you can come back from it, but I thought you was functioning on a different level than what I just saw.
Right.
And
a great
I'm
way to put it.
disappointed in that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We good though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Reassuring them, letting them know that's not to the point of peril or the need of it.
Yeah, so we back. B2M, another wonderful, wonderful, wonderful conversation about black fatherhood, black parenting. This podcast, fellas, another great one, man. What y'all think? You know what I'm saying? It's
Awesome,
like,
man.
you
I
know,
hope we can help some people with this
keep
conversation.
going. Hey, look, not only that, I learned so much over a few podcasts. I know y'all for over 40 years.
Yeah.
I learned so much more about y'all over a few episodes that I never knew.
Yeah.
So I'm learning. I'm used. We still.
that's the beauty
You
of
talking
this
about
group.
helping now?
Yeah.
Hey man, that's the beauty, man.
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
y'all brothers.
Yeah, love y'all too,
Yeah,
man.
love
Yeah,
y'all
for
brothers.
sure.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Merch,
B2M.
go get it.
Awesome, guys. Jeez.
See you next week.
Being on me and I'm coming soon. Never been a sellout, never been a coon. Y'all be on the camera acting like I'ma show 'em how I true and independent get it. Whole game changed by the time I'm finished with it.